Sorry about that little break. I had someone knock on my door and I had to step away for a second. So we're back and we're into the main view of the Lightworks editing software. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to want to import the footage or the files that we're going to be using. So we come over here to our tools list, and if you hover, or if you click, excuse me, because I've got to get out of my screen capture software. So now I'm into it. So if I hover, it's going to tell you all the different things that you can do in order to bring in footage or work with your footage. So I'm going to be importing clips. So I click on that, and first thing it comes up to is my audio network. And so I've gone through and I've picked the song that I want to use, and I'm using the song called Wild Horses. And so once I get that clicked, which I have, I'm just going to hit import. And that's going to bring up a new window that tells me, okay, this is now inside my editing software so that I can use it once I get ready to edit my project. But I want to do more than just have audio, obviously. So I'm going to go back to my import files screen and go to my local files. Whoops. I'm sorry, go to places. And I'm going to go to my desktop, because I have created a folder, went too fast, called Pictures, where I've put everything that I might have wanted to use in this particular project. And so the reason I'm calling this O'Brien Acres is I live on a small little, what's called a farmlet, and I have a lot of animals. Most of them are rescues, but my daughters also are equestrians, so you will see their horses, and that's why going to show you some of those animals as we go through here. So I am going to start by just selecting, and you can always select more than one by holding down the Shift key. And so I'm going to bring in just a few of these pictures to work with, because I'm not going to obviously build an entire project. So we're going to start bringing a few of these. Okay, so you see they've all come into my timeline, but let me bring in a couple other ones just to work with. Scroll down here. And we'll bring in just a couple more, just so I have a little bit to work with. And you can bring in ones that you don't end up using, that's fine, and I'm actually doing that intentionally, so I've got some things in here that I know I'm not going to use. But so let's say this is enough for me to kind of get started with. And so now I'm going to want to start actually editing my project together. So what I'm going to do is, again, go over to my toolbar here, and I'm going to create a new sequence. And so now 2 new screens have popped up. This is sort of my main timeline where the final product is going to be shown. This is to work on one clip at a time. And it's very common in editing that editors will work with multiple screens, usually 2 screens, sometimes 3, so they can kind of keep track of the one clip they're looking at versus their final product versus perhaps something that might have character-generated effects in it. This one particularly just has 2. Now, in terms of what you should bring in first between audio and video, first you can see here that we have a video 1 track and an audio 1 and 2 in case what you're bringing in is stereo. You can add more. I am going to recommend keeping it simple, and let's just stay with video 1 and your 2 audio tracks. So because for something like this where the music is going to kind of drive the visuals and may determine where I make an edit for bringing in or taking out an image, I'm going to go ahead and bring down my audio first. And so you'll notice here, oops. Let me undo that because I think I accidentally also had the video clips highlighted. So these arrows here on the side of the screen let you undo what you just did, which is a digital editor's best friend is either to undo or to redo. So when you do make that occasional, oops, I clicked on something I didn't want to, you can undo it. So first let me take out the video segment. When I click on it and it goes kind of dark, that means I'm not going to let the computer put anything into that track while I'm working. So let's go ahead and let me drag over so you can see it. Just get that out of the way. So what I want to do is I want to put my audio down here and put it right at the cursor because I want it at the beginning. And normally that works. I'm not sure why it's not popping up into, let me just take 1 second here and figure out. This is the thing with editing. Even when you've used a software many times, it can do things that you're not expecting. So I'm going to toggle to this other view. So if you go up, you see this icon that looks like a sheet of paper. That's going to let you look at different views. So I was in sort of a block view where I could just basically see what was in. Oh, that's saying it's because it's empty. That's interesting. Oh, I apologize. I was not clicking on the sound. So just come down here. We'll start over. Ignore that. This is the beauty of editing. So now I have clicked on my sound, and I'm going to drag it into my timeline. There we go, and bring it up. Now, if you don't like the way the timeline is set up, you can, in terms of being able to see what you want to see, you can stretch it out. You don't want to stretch it too far. It gets kind of a little bit time consuming, a little bit troublesome to see how everything's going. But now I would be able to scroll, or scrub as they call it for sound, if I wanted to make an edit in this particular song, but I don't. I know I've listened to it, I know I want the song in here from the beginning, and then I'll edit out whatever I don't use or fade out whatever I don't use when the project is finished. So now I want to start building my visual. So I'm going to click off the audio because I don't want anything to happen to my audio track. But let me just say one thing. If you bring in audio, now this is from a professional, CD, so the sound I know is good quality. If it was not, you can raise or lower it by using this bar here. And we're going to come back to that when I do an edit for fading in and fading out. But just know that if you bring something in and you don't see these nice strong sound waves or sine waves, then we may have to adjust the volume of the audio. But we know it's okay, so I'm going to go up to video. And I'm going to start with a title sequence. And I want to have this kind of artistic picture I made of two of my cats. Well, I didn't make it. It's a new Facebook filter, but I'll claim it as my own for right now. So this is two of my cats, my barn cats, and I'm going to put my title over this particular image. Now, you will see on here that if you start playing it, and you can hear the audio. Even though I've blocked out the audio, you'll still be able to hear it when you're playing it. You just won't be editing anything over it. And you have to determine how long you want your clips to be up. And like you'll see here, this is up for like an entire minute. In the world of video, anything that's up longer than 5 seconds as like a static image is almost an eternity. So you're looking at having a still image up, if it's just the image, for no more than 5 seconds. Usually it's about 3 seconds. If it's video, obviously, if it's a moving video, moving image, you'd have it up for as long as you need it to be up to show what you want to show. And then for graphics, really a graphic takes no more than 5 seconds for a person to read, because if you have more text than that, then you really need to look at like a scrolling graphic where it's moving rather than static. So we're going to definitely be editing this image after I make my graphic over it. And so what I'm going to do now, so we've got my cursor at the very beginning, and we're going to come back to do transitions at the end. I always recommend doing your transitions after you have built your project, because if not, you might decide, oh, you know what, I really don't like that where it is, and you want to move it or change an image. And if it's got a transition already built into it, it can cause a lot of problems with changing it around. So always save and do your transitions at the end. So, excuse me, in order to do graphics, what we're going to do is we're going to come over to our, I'm sorry, not that one. Come to Effects, And you're going to see different choices that you have for different things that you can do. And so I want to do titles, and I'm going to apply it to the current clip. I'm going to tell it to do that. And now I'm going to write my text. And so that's just going to be the title of my project. And you can change the typeface. Let's say I want to make it bold. I can put italics on it. You can change the size of the font. If I didn't like it across the faces of my cats where it is, I could change and do it lower down. So let's say I'm looking going, I really want to be able to see my cat's cute little face. So I want to go back to what I was doing, and I want to go to lower, oops, let me bring it down, lower thirds. And this just means that you're going to put an image at the bottom third part of the screen. So let's say I like this, and I will have to go back and remove the other image. And so because I have, it comes up here with name and person, I got to take that out because normally with a lower third we're often identifying a person, but I just want to have my title down there because I think it looks better. That's the problem with editors. We're always wanting to make changes of how things look. So I've got that. I've got it in italics. The subheading I just want to get rid of because I don't want to have anything there. I just want it to be O'Brien Acres. And so now I'm going to come back and go up to the titles and just get rid of it. Whoops. And this is what I talk about when editing can be a little bit challenging. It is not wanting to let me go back, and this is something new in this particular version. Normally when I click on it, it would let me go back to that, but let me go through some levels of undo and just go to this and take it out because I didn't like it. And then we're just going to kind of start over, and sometimes that's what you have to do. I mean, that's the one thing when I teach editing, and people are like, well, haven't you used this before? Yeah, but every project is different. Every time you work on something, something can sometimes work a little differently. It's a strange aspect of digital editing that I found in pretty much every software I've ever used, that just when you think you can do it in your sleep, you can't, because they want to change something on you. And like I said, this is new, so I haven't had as much time to play with this configuration as I had other ones. So, okay, so let's say I'm happy with that. Okay, so now I'm going to come down here to my title sequence. Let's just see. Okay, you can see it's going on for forever because it's up way too long. So now we're going to make an edit, and we're going to cut this down. And so we are going to take our, but let's just go up here. Let me show you how to do it in the sequence view. You really should try to limit what you do in the master time frame view if you can. It's just a habit, unfortunately, that I've gotten into over the years when I'm editing quickly. So I want to have this only at, let's say, 5 seconds. So we're going to play it. Okay, and now let's say, nope, still too long. Let me cut it back. And so you can see in the bottom corner by the shark, the amount of time you're on the timeline, and I'm just going back a little bit at the time. That's what the single arrow without the line lets you do, is it goes back 1 frame at a time. And I'm gonna have it up just, let's just do 4 seconds. Okay, now I'm gonna make an edit mark. So these blue diamonds allow you to set an edit mark. So the first one is an edit in. And so I've now told the software I want to make an edit mark or cut at this point. I could now go ahead and play it to the end or drag it to the end if I wanted to and tell it that's where I want it to end. I don't have to though. In this particular software I could just play it and it automatically assumes that's your endpoint where the cursor stops. But if you want to, and sometimes it's good when you're just learning how to edit, to go ahead and put your out point. So now you're going to come over here to these arrows, and I want to delete that entire marked section. If I had an image already next to it, I would want to use the double arrows because then it's going to close any gap that's created from my edit. For this one though, because it's the only image there, I'm just going to remove it and then bang, it's gone. Now you can see here I didn't quite get everything, and that's okay. I can just do another edit point and delete it, and that should gotten rid of it. I'm doing this without the sounds on, and so sometimes it's a little bit hard to hear and see where everything is snapping into place. Okay, that got it. Okay, so now you hold me down in the best way. No cord. Okay, and so that's I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to start building the rest of what I want to do. And so I would be using my the timelines that you created, excuse me, the images that you created using your linear storyboard to know what you want to do next. And so I'm just going to, because put the next image in. Let's say I want to have, since I'm out in my barn, I want to have my daughter with her horse. This is her horse Mary and my daughter Karen. And at the moment I'm thinking, you know what, I don't know if I want to have, I want to close that gap. There's a little tiny gap. There we go. To have anything graphics on this, and yeah, again, I was playing with the new Facebook filters when they came out the other day. And I'm going to have this at 8 seconds because that's just where I want each image is up for about 4 seconds. And again, make sure I'm at the end of this and out point and close that up. And so then you would just continue going through. And so what I'm going to do just really quickly is stop the recording so I can just put a few more images in. Then I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about transitions and a little bit more about graphics.